Nerd Skool is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network.
Hey, fellows. It's the first night of 11 of the season.
Nerds roll. Nerds roll. Oh, my glasses are broken.
And this will begin season 2 of Nerd Skool.
Welcome back to season 2, Nerd High. Glad to have you.
It's gonna be crazy stunts. We're gonna there's gonna be stunts.
Joe's gonna
fireworks.
bring more penis jokes.
A lot of penis stuff.
I am a super nerd.
The Nerd Skool Podcast.
Starring Andy,
Star Spangled Band with a plan.
Maybe I'll try to do a cartwheel.
TBJ.
Welcome. Congratulations. You did dirt. Ta-da. I got no shame. All my exes can tune in. We can have an episode where I compare them to all the Marvel villains. We can do that.
Artstar.
I don't love Wiener.
I'm just trying to make money.
Lord Artemis Prime rises.
Yeah, my real name is Joe. Did I ever tell you about the time I hung out with DMC at Mertz?
The Nerd Skool Podcast.
I'll be back to that, man.
Okay. Now we're at the Shrinky Tub scene.
I love how you name these things Shrinky Tub things.
Yeah, the Shrinky Tub scene, which is awesome because it's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It's like a cool version of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and we get to see this. This is like the first time we really get to see it in action, and the water comes in. They did a great job of making that tub look filthy, and then the bathroom, and he hits the floor, and you get the dynamics of that he's real strong, and because he hits the floor breaks, and then we see Luis taking his pants, getting naked. You see his belt, fly down. I was like, no, I don't want to see this. And then he falls down into the dance club below. He falls right onto the record, which is cool. Watch him hang onto that groove. That was neat. And then almost getting crushed by all the dancers. And then he falls again to the apartment below, which is funny that there's a lady who lives below the dance club, and they live above the dance club. There's a dance club in the middle. That's odd placement. But then he gets in the vacuum cleaner, gets out of it, falls. The mouse shows up, and he flies off the mouse trap through the window, kind of like a game of mousetrap, with all the different stuff he did. Mm-hmm. And then he lands on Garrett Morris's car, a little cameo from Garrett Morris. That was
why
cool.
He's in that?
No. Oh, I do know why. I was just watching this episode. I'm just putting this together now. He played Ant-Man on SNL.
He's the first live-action Ant-Man.
I love that you had so much joy in revealing that, Joe.
Well, I didn't realize that's why he was in it until you just said that just now. I was like, because I watched him. I just watched that sketch where John Belushi's Hulk and he's Ant-Man. I was like, oh, this is the real Ant-Man,
Yeah,
That's
he was
funny.
the first live-action Ant-Man, so that's why they put him in it.
That was cool. I was wondering why Garrett Morris was in it. I was like, what a weird cameo to have Garrett Morris in there. But that makes sense. Oh, gosh. Duh. Why didn't I realize that? That's hilarious. Yeah. And so Michael Douglas says, keep the suit. I'll be in touch. And he's like, no. Nope. I don't need this. And he tries to return the suit, and that's when he gets arrested because Hope calls the cops, I guess. And then Hank shows up as the lawyer. Your lawyer's here. Lawyer, what? And he explains to him the whole thing that he let him steal the suit by paying off the one girl to blab about the safe, so it gets back to Luis. And I felt at this point, I felt like this seems a little weak of a storyline, like not believe, like it just happened to get to him, like it just didn't seem believable to me.
But he's been studying it for a while.
He's been tracking him for a very long time.
That's it. Once he says that later, then I'm like, okay, I guess if he's been watching him because of his previous heist, I guess that makes sense. He's been paying attention to him, like.
Yeah, because remember, he already said to his daughter earlier that he had a man, so he obviously has been paying attention.
He's got somebody that he's planning on,
mm-hmm.
And so yeah, once he says that, he was like, when you did this heist, this was unbelievable. So I had an eye on you because I needed somebody.
The Vista Group.
Yeah, the Vista Group. Now, is that like a callback to a comic thing? I wondered.
What?
The Vista Group?
I don't know. Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, you're a jerk.
Doesn't
man.
necessarily mean it's not.
Well, then we get the flying ant prison break thing, seeing him, flying on the ant for the first time, like, running through the door. He's telling him what to do, and then those ants show up, and he's freaked out by the ants. And I mean, even just the detail of the like the Coke can lid or the tab, the soda can tab, making the noise that it would if you knocked over a giant one. Just that stuff is so cool. So this is basically Honey, I Shrunk the Kids Part 2.
There was already a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids Part 2, right?
Part 12.
Matter of fact, I think I read something where they were going to make an Ant-Man movie in like the 80s, and they didn't because Honey, I Shrunk the Kids came out.
Ah.
That's
Can you imagine Rick Moranis as Scott Lang?
I could imagine that. That's who would play him.
Well, at the end of this getaway, he falls off Anthony, and he wakes up in bed, and Hope's there. And who are you? Whose pajamas are these? And then Hank explains everything.
Everything
About changing the
you
distance between.
You trying too hard with that, Joe.
Everything.
The second time you everything.
Well, what happened is I wrote it one time in my Google Notes, and now it auto corrects everything to everything from now on. It's ERRYTH.
You saying it? You got to soften up your E.
Everything. Oh, kind of like daycare.
Everything.
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 Hank explains everything. About changing the distance between atoms, Pimtech, Darren Cross, etc. And that's what I was going to ask at this point, which now you've already answered. Is all this from comics? Are all these is Darren Cross and Pimtech? And I guess all of this is this storyline specifically from comics where Darren Cross is taking over the company and he's stealing Hank's.
Not exactly. They might have done it when they revived him after this movie, but this is not. I mean, Darren Cross, like I said, died in 1979, the first Ant-Man thing. Yeah. But there was a thing, well, we haven't quite gotten to the point where we're talking about Agent Mitchell Carson, the guy who later is buying the Pym stuff, the Yellow Jacket suit from Darren Cross. He's actually a comic book character.
That's what I was going to ask later. I got him in the next couple.
Yeah, we'll get to him.
We'll get to that. We found out that Darren Cross is a big deal. Not stable, though. And then this is where he kind of even says he something about that. Like he kind of mentions that he might not be stable and that he doesn't realize that the helmet needs to be specialized. So we know he's going to go nuts when he's shrinking. He just doesn't know that he's got to have it that. So if he's been shrinking, he could be losing his mind. And this line where Scott says, "My days of breaking into places and stealing shit are done. What do you want me to do? I want you to break into a place and steal some shit."
Yeah.
And then we found Asshat guy finds out that Pym is Scott's lawyer.
Wait, who's Asshat guy?
Remember, he says, really, to his ex-wife, like, really, him?
Oh.
This guy's an asshat. I'm not an asshat, or something. He's not an asshat. Not in front of you can't talk like that in front of Cassie. Anyway, but he finds out that he gets that text from his partner that says Pym is Scott's lawyer. And then we find out that Cross has figured out the shrinkage thing.
Shrinkage? Do women know about shrinkage?
Do they know about shrinkage?
Yeah.
How do you guys walk around with those things?
Sorry. Seinfeld.
I was unmuting to correct you in your vulgarities, but I'll let it go.
Do women know about shrinkage?
They do now because that Seinfeld episode.
Yeah. I was in the pool. That's when she laughs about how small George's penis is in Seinfeld. But
Correct.
He's like, it shrinks. Remember that? You know that episode? Yes. Okay. Anyway, so Cross has figured it out because he gets the lamb small, right? And then Hope's watching. And there's always this kind of weird feeling between Hope and Cross. Like, does he know? Does he know that she's with Hank? Like, it seems like he does. And then we find out, of course, he did. But and then Hank explains Mitchell Carson, the ex-head of defense of S.H.I.E.L.D. So he was the ex-head of defense of S.H.I.E.L.D. He looks like Mark Meadows, this guy who's in the news now, who is Trump's former chief of staff. That's who I think of every time, which is perfect because that guy's an evil fuck.
But this is the guy who he in the flashback scene at the beginning he punched in the face.
Yeah.
For talking shit about what happened with Janet, and this guy is from a more recent run of Ant-Man. There was a run called the Irredeemable Ant-Man, where this shitty S.H.I.E.L.D. agent named Eric O'Grady found it like stole an Ant-Man suit and became sort of an amoral hero, or sort of. I don't know if I never read it myself, so I don't know exactly how villainous he was, but he was kind of a shitheel. But the antagonist of that series was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent named Mitchell Carson, who turned out to be a psychotic murder guy. So
okay.
And and he was created by Robert Kirkman, who also created The Walking Dead, and he had a run with Marvel where he did the Irredeemable Ant-Man. So
and isn't the gal who plays Hope from The Walking Dead? Am I wrong? No,
she's from Lost.
Oh, Lost.
Right,
Kate,
right.
You got to go back, Kate. The Island's not finished.
Sorry, I never watched either one of those.
Lost was an amazing show. How dare you?
I watched the first episode. I was like, this dialogue sucks.
Well, it fucked you in the head at the last spoiler at the.
Yeah, I know. I heard everybody was mad, so then I didn't watch it.
The two things about Lost that I like, which I never watched the show really. Like I watched it once because a friend of mine was like, "Oh, you should probably get into this," and I watched one episode.
A friend of yours that was a friend with benefits?
No.
Oh.
But I watched this episode with him. I was like, okay, I like this one guy in it. It's like, so he's kind of cool. So maybe I can get into this. But then he died. He died at the end of the episode. So I was like, well, fuck this show. I'm not going to watch this because the one guy I liked in this episode is dead now.
Well, the fucking thing about it is 95% of the people in the show were dead. So,
great. Right. Spoiler alert.
What I liked was
thanks, Art.
Yeah, Art just ruined Lost for us.
I remember seeing Evangeline Lilly, who plays Hope, and who is apparently an anti-vaxxer as of recently.
She's
trying to get rid of her now.
Yeah, I think so. But
she showed up at a rally.
I remember seeing her on. Yeah. I remember seeing her on Letterman years ago, like when she was still on Lost, and obviously Letterman did. Yeah, she was like, I don't think you've ever watched our show, because the way he described it was, this is what I know about Lost. There's a hole with a thing on it, and there's a fat guy, and look out. That was his description of Lost. And she was like, you've never watched this show at all. I was like, no, why would I? But I thought that's what I think of when I think of Lost.
Yeah.
Because that was like the first episode was there's a hole with a thing on it. And then there's a fat guy, and look out.
Okay. Damn it, I lost my. Okay. Okay. So Hank explains that he needs Scott to steal the yellow jacket. And the reason they can't, he's like, you should just use Avengers. And he's like, well, I've been spending my whole life trying to keep the suit out of the hands of a Stark. And then Hope says, I want to do it. And he snaps. That's when he's like, no! And we don't realize yet that he wants somebody expendable. It's because he loves his daughter and doesn't want her to do this.
Yeah,
but she feels like he's not respecting her enough, and that she, whatever it is, it's like I'm your daughter, or why can't you treat me better, kind of stuff.
And it's a kind of a way to make Hank Pym like allude to the fact that he has familial issues and has he's not functioning super properly, but
and then they have the conversation in the car where
he's like, I'm expendable.
Be the hero, where Hope says to Scott, be the hero your daughter thinks you are. Or no, I guess Hank says this to him. He's trying to get Scott to do it. He says, be the hero your daughter thinks you are. And it's about our daughters. It's not about saving the world. It's about saving theirs. And it's kind of like they have that thing in common. Like he's got this thing with his daughter that he regrets, and he's trying to give him the advice to your whole world is your daughter. So, and there is that special thing about daddies and daughters that is a thing. And then we get the montage. He decides to do it, and it's the teaching Scott montage, which is fun. Where Hope kicks his ass a bunch of times. That was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And there was that moment when we talk about fighting a man and a woman fighting when he punches her one good one in the gut. And you're like, oh, that doesn't feel right. And then he like talks that shit to her, and then she beats the shit out of him like that.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes it okay. But yeah. So, and then I love how he uses her finisher later, and she's impressed, and she's like, oh, I don't know if you noticed that. I picked up this last time. Like she
uses her finisher.
Yeah, well, kind of, the thing where the Hurricane Rana or whatever it is, where she flips him over, and like she like makes a look when he uses that to kill what's his face, to beat him up.
Yeah. With that little bit sort of makes you buy into the fact that like maybe they're into each other by the end of it. Like there's not a whole lot.
Because she looks at the 1 second that you see that she looks at him when he's got his shirt off. Like she does a quick glance. That's the first. I mean, of course he thinks she's cute, but you don't think he's a piece of shit, right?
Yeah.
So, but once she does that quick glance, and she's like, oh, like maybe she likes him.
Yeah.
And then
later he's got a nice torso. Look at that. And then they have that one scene.
Well, they had the sweet moment.
Bond.
Yeah, they had the sweet moment in the car already where he helped her realize her dad was just trying to protect her and just loves her, so, and she softened up, and so that's good. I think it's good acting. Like she did a good job acting, and you're with these characters. I feel like they all did a good job with that. Like
They did.
Her hair, I hate her. I always hate that haircut.
That bob.
Yeah, I always call it what was the name? I guess I don't call it that. Mrs. Wallace from Pulp Fiction.
Mia Wallace. Yeah.
That weird. I don't know. It's just
Uma Thompson.
Uma Thurman. I guess it's just
Uma Thurman. Yeah, Uma Thurman. Why did I say Thompson?
The bangs thing.
You're thinking of Emma Thompson.
Yeah.
Emma Thompson, is that who played Michael J. Fox's mom?
No, that's Leah Thompson.
Oh.
Who's
Emma Thompson then?
Emma Thompson was in Harry Potter. She's British. She's in Love Actually.
She's young.
I haven't seen it.
I feel like has she been in the MCU yet? I feel like she should have been.
She should be, but she has not.
Anyway, part of this whole montage, they pause it for the quantum realm warning because he starts like messing. Do not mess with that, with the flux capacitor. You could go
Don't
to the
cross the
quantum realm.
streams.
Yeah. And that was kind of foreshadowing. We're going to hear about this quantum realm, I think. And then we get the montage of the ants and him and fighting, him fighting more than him trying to learn the ants. And then they swarm him and he gets all scared and he pops up out of the ground a couple times. And we learn about the different kinds of ants, the crazy ants and the fire ants or whatever. And Scott explains then Scott explains to Hope that I'm expendable. This is why he's not letting you do it, because he loves you and I'm a piece of garbage. And then Hank finally, after they fight a little bit, he tells Hope the truth about her mom. And that's a sweet moment too, where she's like, why didn't you tell me sooner and all that. And so that's what I was kind of going to ask you, but I think you've already answered it with your history kind of lesson, is that this is not a scenario in the comics at all.
No, but I really did want, for a long time, I wanted them to sort of try to do like, before the main Avengers, there was like a team of superheroes back in the 80s or something, like everyone from back in that era. I wanted to see if they would do a thing, because there was, well, this is a huge tangent we don't need to get into, but I always thought like throwback heroes would be cool.
Any of us, Andy.
Yeah, that's true, but it's late. I don't want to.
But they did. I mean, they did kind of reference that he was.
Yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
He was. I mean, when they show the old footage of him being Ant-Man, he was a Shield guy. Like he worked for Shield, so he was their first Iron Man Avenger type of guy.
Yeah, and there's a comic book that I liked called Agents of Atlas, which I don't know.
Was that the one with the gorilla guy?
Gorilla Man and
that you've talked about several times that you're hoping they show up.
Yeah, they might. Like, I thought Shang-Chi might have led into that, but and it might still. But it was basically about like heroes from the 50s, which was like pre-Fantastic Four era that hasn't really been explored much in Marvel, and I kind of liked that. Just a bunch of weirdo villains. But that's why I was kind of hoping they might go with that if they just wanted. But then they'd have to CGI Michael Douglas as a young man all the time, and that's.
Which maybe, they're getting good at that stuff. I mean,
maybe
they're now agents are pitching shows with. There's a Whitney Houston hologram tour they're trying to get people to buy. Like they're doing these holograms of people. Yeah, I don't know if anybody's going to buy them, but they can.
People will.
They can make anything anymore. But so after Hank tells Hope the truth, it's a sweet moment between them, and then Scott ruins the moment.
Yeah,
saying this is awesome. This is fucking awesome. You're just having a real breakthrough. And they both
which is very Paul Rudd of things.
Yeah, it's a very
Paul Rudd. Definitely a Paul Rudd thing.
Yeah, and then they go back into the montage, and Scott's finally getting pretty good at stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to his final mission to prove he's good or whatever is that he's got to retrieve a prototype of a signal decoy Hank invented during his SHIELD days. It's in an old warehouse, and they needed to counteract the transmission blockers that Cross installed in the Futures Vault. Because, of course, you need to counteract the transmission blockers that Cross installed in the Futures Vault.
Obvi.
I had to, watch that 3 times. Be like, what are they doing? What is that thing supposed to do? What's a Futures Vault? What is this? Basically, it's just an excuse for him to go fuck with Falcon, basically, probably.
Which... God bless it. We got a few minutes of dear old Mackie, and I was down.
Yeah, so it wasn't an old warehouse. It's Avengers headquarters, and who's home? I hope nobody's home. And here comes Falcon, and that whole thing was fun, and playful, and kind of neat. I mean, those two battling each other, and I'm sorry. You seem like a really nice guy. I'm sorry to do this. But it was cool having Anthony Mackie. That was like a superstar moment there now because. Then I don't know if Anthony Mackie was as big now, but now that he's done Falcon and Winter Soldier, and we all know he's the next Cap, right? So I feel like watching it now is cool because he's a huge deal. So that this scene was a bigger deal now, I feel like. So.
Yeah, and this is the hook that gets Ant-Man involved with the rest of the MCU, as you see in the post-credit scene.
Yeah.
And the final Luis montage.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll get to that. Those two. Yeah. Anyway, so he's got the thing, and this is when we see there's a little spark between Hope and Scott. I feel like I wrote that we have a little spark between Hope and Scott. So I don't know where that comes from, or if that's when she looks at his.
Is that when he does the finishing move on Falcon?
Did he do it on Falcon?
I don't remember.
Yeah, he did do the finishing move on Falcon. Yeah, he did.
He did it to Anthony Mackie?
Yep.
That thing where he maybe that was it. Whatever it was, I wrote down that we see there's a little spark there.
Yeah.
That she likes him.
But I like that their whole thing was barely on camera. You just get hints of it, but it doesn't dwell on it, and it doesn't
even when he
make
catches
it
him behind the door, you don't even see it.
You don't even see. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that too. That's kind of a cool way to do it.
It wasn't Bruce and Natasha
No. Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, they find out Darren is there in the other room, and then he's going to triple security. And what are we going to do? How are we going to get in there? He's got the mesh things or whatever. And so they come up with a water main plan, and this is when he needs the 3 wombats, not those wombats.
Yep.
And then the funny little bit with T.I. saying, maybe let me break in. That was funny. And those guys are, we're in the system? We're in the system?
Actually, it was 2 smoothie machines.
Yeah. Just like, wow,
We're so proud of that.
Yeah, those 3 guys are great. And then he says, "No whistling." I got an idea for my character. I'm gonna whistle. No whistling. And then he whistles anyway.
Yeah.
And then he gets in there, punches the guy, lowers the water pressure, and then Ant-Man's in the building. We see him kind of surf on the ants, and that scene's cool. And then the next punch, he gets to punch the other guy that's getting bit by the ants. He's like, "Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up." And he's like, "Oh, this is a very serious mission." Or whatever. When she walks by, very serious operation. That funny bit was great.
Yeah, these guys pretty much make the movie, I think.
They do.
Yeah, I really feel like without them, it wouldn't have been as fun. Like they really add that.
No, and I think that's what makes Ant-Man in general great. It is upbeat and light all the way through, and then we have a gang of people whose entire existence serves us humorously.
Yeah. And it's a great counterpoint to the Age of Ultron, which was just ended with like a city exploding and all sorts of casualties, and like one of the Avengers' biggest mistakes and colossal fuck ups.
Yeah.
But so it's like, oh, by the way, let's have fun with Shrinky Times.
Yeah, Shrinky Time. Yeah, it was. Yeah, this was really well done. Yeah. And then the detectives show up. Dave to the rescue. He takes their Crown Vic. And,
that was a great scene.
That was hilarious. And then again, they show Darren. You can't tell if he keeps catching Hope. He catches Hope walking out and getting, when she installs the thing. You can't tell if he knows what's going on or not. Plan. I don't know what I said. Plan is at work. Hope installs a transmitter blocker stopper thing. And then Kevin McCarthy arrives. Mitchell Carson or whatever.
Yeah. Same deal.
And then Ant-Man's flying through the servers. This is cool. Like making the little servers look, all the microchips and stuff real small.
Yep. And
then the crazy ants start frying everything. And I have personal experience with crazy ants. They do love electricity.
Really?
We had some short out our air conditioning unit on the outside. We had a guy come out. He opened it. I was like, "It's filled with ants," and it was like they weren't anywhere in the house. They don't like sugar. They don't like food. They like electricity, and they got in all the wiring, and they were just running around crazy.
Maybe you had super ants and you didn't even know it.
Wow.
Well, what this
You
guy
should try to get bitten by one and see what happens.
It might have been super ants. This guy knew right away. This guy was like, "Oh yeah, these are these raspberry crazy ants. They're not supposed to be this far north yet. They were only in Atlanta or something. It was the farthest north they've gotten, but they must be here." And I was like, "Should I be reporting this to some authority if they're here? They're not supposed to be."
Wildlife authority, something.
Yeah, and they were just like swarming in the electricity, and they like ate up the wires and shit. So that they're real, and they do that shit. It's crazy.
What would you have to do? Just replace the whole thing, or?
Yeah, they had to replace a wire or whatever, and we sprayed or whatever and killed them. I don't think they've been back that I know of, but
better check it again. Better go look right now.
All right, I'll be right back.
All right. Nope.
No, you said. Now I have to. I actually just replaced that whole unit.
The one time you listen to your older brother, is that it?
Yeah, it's the one time.
Yeah. Never do what I say. So yeah, ant sequence.
And then we get the plan that he's selling them to Hydra. He's like, "This is Hydra. These are our guys from Hydra. They're not the same Hydra." Cut back to the van, and they're shushing each other because the detectives are coming in. They're like, "Shh, shh, no, shh, 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 no, you shh." That's kind of a funny little bit. Darren's about to kill Hank when Hope jumps to action. Then Scott, then punching, and Hank is shot. Then Hope takes control of the ants to stop Darren, but he gets away, and Mark Meadows gets the particle, and he's all covered in bugs. So I don't know if we ever see him again. He stole that vial and ran off. So I don't know if that leads into the second movie where Hydra has the potion or whatever. Or does he die? I don't remember.
I thought he died in this movie.
Yeah, he slipped on a banana or something, didn't he?
Well, he ran off.
I don't think he made it out. I have brain fog, like ridiculous.
Well, maybe if he did, I wrote it down and we'll get to it, but I don't know. There's something I caught this time. I was like, wait a minute, he just grabbed that vial and took off, and he's like,
I remember him grabbing it. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember anything happened to him though. And then we got a 10:33 at Pym Tech, So I, of course, had to look up what a 1033 is. TBJ, you were in the military. Is that a code that you know?
You know what I knew very well? How to say I had to go to the bathroom.
And is there a number 2? A double
No,
dose?
1014.
Oh, is that 1014?
Yeah,
1033 is emergency, need immediate assistance. So I guess
I never used that one. I can tell you. Sadly, I learned the 10 codes. But I literally was absent on the day that we learned 10 codes in training because I had a doctor's appointment, and I was so angry because I was like, I want to speak only in 10 codes. Like, this is my goal. Why am I not in class this day? But I made sure I memorized the most essential to me and my bad bladder, which was having to go to the bathroom.
So I got to take a 1014 is what that is?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. I'm going to use that.
He's going to be like, you got to do it. Oh, you don't have it ready yet. I was going to say.
I'm supposed to. I just never can.
I caught myself the other day. I was telling someone 10-4, and then I was like, as in copy that, as in, yes, I got you. But I was typing it on an email that was business related. And I was like, my bad.
I think that's okay. I do that sometimes. Anyway, then Scott's running through that model. He's getting away. He's that little guy and they're shooting that model up, and Luis saves his life. Did I save your life? And that was cool. He slides over the little fake car, you know. And he says, "Are we the good guys?"
He's like, who this feeling? It's like, who?
It's a cool feeling. It's a weird feeling. We're the good guys, aren't we? Then we get there's multiple shots fired, and there's a tank. When the tank busts through. This isn't a keychain; it's a tank.
One of the things I like about this whole thing is like Luis goes back to save the guy he knocked out earlier.
Yeah.
Normally,
he's a good guy.
Any other movie, that guy would not be thought of again. The guy that got knocked out. He's done. He doesn't exist anymore.
I think it does a really good job of, like, they're criminals, but they're not like bad human. Like,
they're not.
I'm going to steal some things to get by, but I'm not trying to harm anyone. I think that scene is a good job of showing, like,
I'm the boss.
He's not trying to harm
that
anybody.
guy. Yeah, and that's what I like. That's the kind of detail I like. Like, he goes back to save that dude.
Well, and I do love that he knocked him. He knocked that big dude out with one punch. He's still out like that long. He's out. You know? But he did. He is the only guy to ever knock down Peachy. He said, I think.
He did say that.
Yeah. So he established that. So yeah, remember I was the only guy who ever knocked down Peachy. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, then we got the helicopter battle, which is cool. Pimtech blows up and shrinks or whatever. And then we get that briefcase battle, which is my favorite. It's so cool, like with the lifesaver, and he says, "I'm gonna disintegrate you," and the Cure song comes on loudly on the iPhone. It's floating around, like, so well done, like that broken lifesaver, and how cool is that? There's just a bunch of little shit everywhere.
Yeah, that feels very Edgar Wright as well.
That's Edgar Wright style type of stuff.
Probably, yeah. Just all those kind of details.
Yeah,
I feel like it's a lot of that's
just fun. It's the Honey I Shrunk the Kids, cereal scene or whatever. It's like that. And then they drop in the pool, and I had to pause it for some reason at when the family's reaching for the phone, and they had a table there, and I saw I thought I saw some product placement, so I paused it on there to see, like, okay, it's 2 bowls of chips, ketchup and mustard, and the ketchup said "Great Value." So that might have been a Great Value ad, or was it not an ad? It was just 1 second, so maybe it wasn't an ad, because I don't think you would have saw it if you didn't pause it.
Well, true, but I do know there are no, like, Great Value is a Walmart brand, and I don't think you haphazardly threw it in there.
Yeah, you don't think so.
Then again, if you had to go back and pause it, I don't.
Well, because my problem with it is
it was probably go out and get a bottle of ketchup and get the cheapest thing you get.
Well, the family has a very nice home, very swanky pool, very swanky yard. Would they be buying Great Value ketchup?
Maybe they got swanky by keeping it
frugal.
By
keeping it frugal.
Their groceries, that could be. Or maybe they're an executive at Walmart
That's
Walmart
it.
stores or
Yeah.
something. So there you go. The no prize. It's the no prize. Explain why this wealthy family has great
Great
value.
value ketchup.
Yeah.
Listen, that's it.
I'm sure nobody else is talking about this on any other Marvel podcast. The great value
No,
ketchup.
we are it. We are onto something here.
And then he gets hit in the bug zapper. And then Paxton tases Scott. Oh, Paxton, it's you. You gotta get me zap, and he knocks him out. And now they're arguing in the car, and now we have a 236 at 840 Winter Street. Do you know what a 236 is in the police codes?
Do not know.
They're
that
not
one.
10 codes, so they're 2 codes. It is, I looked it up, it is false imprisonment.
Oh.
So I guess they're saying Yellow Jacket in with Cassie is false imprisonment, I guess.
You know, hostage situation.
And then, of course, I had to
Hostage.
Google 840 Winter Street, and there is an 840 Winter Place in San Francisco, but not a street. And it looks, I guess, kind of like it. Maybe that's where they were.
That's fine. You don't need to Google addresses in movies.
Yeah, you do.
You Google Evergreen
Sometimes
Terrace.
Joe goes from not thinking about the movie to overthinking every bit of the movie.
Yeah.
You know why? I believe he does that because I've gotten into his head.
Yes,
right?
I don't want to
Read
miss something.
everything.
FOMO, baby, FOMO.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we gotta. A lot of nerd culture is there's no such thing as overthinking.
Right? You want to get in all those.
Think
crazy.
about everything. Yeah.
Well, it's really cool when you find out that some minute detail they've put in there is something, like that's, and then some, I never know what you guys are going to know or bring out as, oh yeah, that's famously this, And then we got the cool train set scene.
Yeah.
So that whole kind of thing is so cool. The battle, this is like every nerd kid's dream. They love the action figures coming to life. I mean, it's like Toy Story type of shit, but action, and I love the whole juxtaposition with like crash, bang, crash, and then it's like just a toy falling over,
Yeah.
trains falling over. It's, oh my God, it's going to die. And it's clunk, it's just a little toy, It's so crazy how.
And Cassie's sitting there peeping at the scene the whole time
watching the lasers shoot back and forth, and then that big ant, gets huge, and then the Thomas the Train gets huge and falls.
Speaking of Cassie, real quick, did you talk about how right before when he got the text saying that the lawyer was Hank Pym? I don't know if I missed that when I was gone, about how Cassie asked him, like, are you going to look for my dad? Like, are you going to find my dad? And he was like, yes.
Oh, and she's like, I hope you don't.
I hope you don't
Right.
catch him. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good. Yeah. I didn't mention that, but that was kind of a cute thing. She's like, I hope you don't catch him. And he's like, oh, fuck. You always
It buys more into like the relationship between him and his daughter.
Well, yeah, and and the stepdad wants her to love him too, of course, but you always love your dad more than he's always your dad. So
yeah.
Right.
Also doesn't have to be a competition,
That's right. Too.
there you go. It doesn't have to be.
The more it takes a village, okay? If your village has a couple extra people and they're all down for the best interest of the child, let's do this.
Well, and at the end, we kind of saw
That's
that, right? They became we were friends. So Scott has to go into the quantum realm, and he makes that decision kind of the same way that Janet did to decide to save everybody. She knew what she was doing. Same thing. He was like, my daughter's going to die if I don't do this. I'm going to miss her forever, but I have to do this to save them. And so he does it. He thinks he's going to be gone forever, but he luckily comes back. So I want to make sure I understand what he did. So he had those little discs that are also shrinking and enlarging.
Yeah.
So because his thing wasn't working, he messed with the regulator that he told him not to mess with, right? He said, don't ever, but he had to, and putting that thing in the regulator made him come back, right? So
yes, something like that. Because Janet didn't have a little embiggen disc, but he did, so he was able to.
Oh yeah, he had those because they didn't exist before. And then Luis ends the whole movie with the Falcon looking for him deal. Like, oh, by the way, this dude said to this dude and this, and he's looking for you. And they show Falcon.
They wrapped it up that way.
Yeah, that was kind of neat. So that's basically just.
And he did the whole thing but you got to mention the fact of like when Anthony Mackie was talking to the chick, how she was mentioned like we got a guy that jump, a guy that swings, a guy that climbs wall. Like Spider-Man hadn't been introduced yet, right?
It hasn't.
So
Yeah.
so it's almost like how in the one with the Captain America, where like how Sitwell name dropped like Doctor Strange, who hadn't have been introduced yet. I mean, I know the movie was coming, but we hadn't seen them yet, kind of thing.
Who's
like,
the guy who jumps?
Huh?
Who's the guy who
Yeah,
jumps?
that's what I'm trying to think of. The guy who jumps, guy who swings, and guy who climbs up walls. Swings and climbs up walls seem like the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah. I thought for some reason I got jumped to be Black Panther. That just I don't know. Could be.
No.
But what I was going to say was
that's not how you describe Black Panther as a guy who jumps. Like,
well, he does a lot of jump. If you once you get to Civil War, you see he does a lot of jumping.
He does, but that's not what he leads with.
I was trying not to get into a whole tangent with this. I was just trying to sit there and say that how this is one of those things where Marvel, like even though they haven't either introduced something yet, or they technically have access to that property yet, they put in just enough to get a nerd thinking about what's coming up or what they could be talking about without actually either spoiling something or violating some sort of rights where like, oh, well, you can't say X-Men or something like that. So let's just sit there and do this and let's kind of talk about it. And then later on down the line, if we get the property or if we get to the movie where it reveals what we talked about 10 years ago, now you can go back and you can do what we're doing, watch through these movies and be like, oh, shit, the guy that swings, they was talking about Pete. Especially once you get to Civil War.
Does Luke Cage have super jump?
No. Daredevil swings too sometimes, but I don't know if he's done it in the Netflix show. I don't know if he had the full on swingy times.
There are so many conversations about this online already. People are like, "Oh, this jumping guy," and I don't know, whatever. But Hulk, I thought it was the Hulk, but I didn't realize.
Well, the Hulk's already been famous and
Hulk,
stuff. It's not like that wouldn't be in the underground superhero community like that. The Superfine reported chick.
Yeah, Anthony Mackie would already know who Hulk is. He wouldn't be looking for him.
There's a whole Reddit page of who's the guy who jumps and the guy who swings. Oh, and my computer.
Moon Knight could be the guy who swings, but probably not since he's being introduced right now.
Mm.
But then again, I mean, do we have Moon Knight? The series currently, we won't spoil it or anything right now, but I don't think we have a timeline for it, do we? Is it right now, or this could be a flashback? I don't think it's connected to the MCU yet. In the
Moon Knight,
I haven't watched the episode today, but
Moon Knight, I don't want to say suffers. It's like it's one of those. This is not even This is not a Moon Knight episode, guys. But
it ain't.
Moon Knight. And it's funny because it's so much backlash about how people don't like Moonlight. They're not liking Moon Knight, and it's like because their minds are so used to seeing everything centralized in the MCU as the other shows are. But I think Moon Knight is almost like the Eternals, right? Like the blip happened. I believe the blip has happened in Moon Knight, but it's getting away from like every show, every movie being centralized around Thanos.
Yeah. This is a
Kit
whole.
Harington said, yeah,
it's his own thing. Moon Knight is very much in its own world,
but it does exist in the MCU. It's just one of those things where like we get to a point where we're trying to get away from talking about because like we're already dealing with like the multiverse, right?
Yeah,
and then we're going to be dealing with like Secret War type shit. So we're trying to get away from what happened in Endgame. Because Endgame, Endgame basically finished that, part of Marvel's timeline, so to speak. Where everything else now becomes before it's just like, okay, you have like it's weird, like they haven't connected anything yet, because whatever, but like you have a lot of purple magic going on in here, which kind of like maybe make you harken back to Agatha, but then maybe not kind of thing. So it's in the MCU, but it's trying to separate itself from like everything dealing with the blip.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious because it's so insular. I don't think it's mentioned anything else in the MCU yet. It's just in its own world. So I'm kind of curious if it's going to turn out that this whole series takes place
supposedly
before or when
it's definitely afterwards, because supposedly, we're gonna there's the Werewolf by Night special coming out that Marvel has been doing. Then there's like the whole Blade, Black Knight kind of thing. So Black Knight, Blade, Moon Knight, Werewolf by Night, all of these things are going to be in their own little thing outside of Avenger type stuff.
So it's going to be like the Midnight Suns world of magic, dark magic.
Right. Which is, I think, is going to be like, I think Stephen Strange, his movie is going to kind of like veer us further away. Like even with Spider-Man, was it No Way Home? That kind of started to kind of veer us away from what's happening now, like in the MCU.
And speaking of veering us away, we've veered way away from anything. I don't understand what the hell you guys are talking about.
Yeah, you haven't been watching Moon Knight yet.
Are we going to do Moon Knight similar to how we did Loki and all that stuff?
It's too late. It's too late for us to do it. They're halfway through the season already.
Oh, and we haven't been doing it. Okay, because I think we'd agreed that was confusing the hell out of me anyway.
Yeah.
So
I feel like we're getting to a point now where some of these series, we should probably just literally leave it for once we get to like phase 4. Just
once
because, like I say,
I agree.
It's veering away from what we've normally been talking about. Because it's like, it's like, for instance, like the Netflix series, right? They used to always, what kind of, before they became somewhat canon now, what they used to do, them and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it was like, what happened in New York, right? That's what I say. The thing that happened in New York. The thing that happened in New York. Yeah. The blip is going to be pretty much, it's going to be, we probably constantly referred to as the blip, but people aren't going to be too big on, what's going on with that.
Joe doesn't know what the blip is yet.
Yeah, well, I do from Falcon Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah,
I think he knows from WandaVision.
And WandaVision, in both of them. So,
but we haven't dug into it. So.
We haven't. Yeah.
So let's finish up this Ant-Man thing.
Let's finish this up real quick. Somebody,
because Tiffany's about to fall asleep
on Reddit, a guy called Just Some Guy said they're obviously talking about the person who swings, jumps, or whatever. Yeah, they're talking about Grasshopper, Moon Knight, and Squirrel Girl is who this guy says.
Yeah, could be.
But then another guy says they're just talking about Spider-Man as all three of them. That's the joke. They don't know it's all one guy. That's what what's this guy?
Yeah, Spider-Man does all three of those things. Yeah.
Sus to it is the person.
So now we got to discuss the 2 post-credit scenes.
Yeah. So then the 2 post-credit scenes. We got the first one is showing that we have the Wasp suit, and she's like, "It's about damn time," and so we get a kick-ass girl, superhero.
In which, reminds you of the Terrence Howard, next time, baby. Next time. And then he didn't get it next time.
Yeah.
He became Lucius.
There was no next time because he was
poor
also
Terrence Howard.
Problematic. Ta-da.
Yeah.
And then post-credit scene 2, Falcon and Cap, and they see Bucky. And I couldn't remember where we were at with them. Did Bucky fall off the thing? We don't.
See, me and Andy had a discussion about this.
Yeah.
This is one of those things, Joe. Like, you want to commit that scene to your mind. You want to have it in your head for when we get into Civil War,
which is the next movie.
Right. So this
I thought Bucky, they already found Bucky again, and they already know he's a Winter Soldier. And
they did. Well, no, they hadn't. Age of Ultron, they're still looking for him.
Yeah. They didn't find him.
Because at the end of Cap Winter Soldier, they fight, and he's like, "I'm not going to fight you, Buck. I'm with at the end of the line." And then that kind of breaks him out of the programming, and he saves Captain America's life, but then just leaves him on the beach there. And then he goes and learns about his life by going to the Cap exhibit. And then in Age of Ultron, we just get hints of, Falcon shows up for the party scene. It's like, yeah, we're following up cold leads. We're still trying to find your missing buddy.
Oh,
I don't
remember that. I didn't remember either one of those things.
This is one of those, post credit scenes. Like I think they did it once before, where you get like the Captain America one, where like he punches the punching bag kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, like it ends up showing up like in the next movie. Or
Yeah.
whatever. This is one of those scenes where
Oh,
it's
it
like,
is?
Yeah, but like you could like it's literally probably about 45, maybe 50 minutes into Civil War when you see like a kind of a variation of this scene. I mean,
so Civil War's our next movie in Phase 3, right?
That's the first movie in Phase 3.
Yeah,
okay.
Captain
Well,
America
we'll
Civil
obviously
War.
take a break before you get there to get your mind right, Joe.
Yeah, we'll take a break. We'll do. What was that movie you want to do?
We won't tell people what we're doing. Don't tell them.
We'll do our summer pick where we each picked one over the summer. And it's almost that time again.
It'll be summer by the time we get to it.
So we'll each pick one that the others
Nerd
watch
School
again.
spring break.
I like that.
Nerd School spring break. Joe's going streaking.
We do all need to like get an Airbnb somewhere in some town and watch movies
and live watch it, so we
live
can
watch it.
record
our. And we can pause it anytime anybody wants to pause it to ask a question or to make a point.
Which means Joe will be pausing it every 5 minutes.
Yeah, I will be. I mean, I pause already. My kids can't.
We'll be watching the movie in stop motion.
Well, when I write to take my notes for the podcast, they're like, "Will you stop pausing it?" I'm like, "Well, I gotta remember my thought. I don't know who that guy is. I gotta ask this question." So
do you want to pick 4 movies now, or do you want to burn through Phase 3 to try to get caught up?
I think we should pause.
I'd like to pause.
And it's not because I don't want to do Phase 3, but I still feel like I want to we did. It was so much fun when we did it in December.
It was fun doing the different.
Because then it's like, why don't we just pick something and like me, I'm gonna do something stupid.
There's a lot of other nerd stuff that you guys have said a lot of things that I'm like, oh. Let's do that. You said we should do that.
Because I already kind of have a movie in mind. I'm not saying it today.
Okay. We'll reveal those later.
We'll have a special episode where we reveal our summer.
I think Tiffany's movie is going to be The Adjustment Bureau just because she want to talk about Anthony Mackie.
First of all, can I remind you that I had the best movie choice last time? So, one.
And there is a new Batman movie out right now. That's going to hit HBO Max and
TBJ loves the hairdo.
I think it's Monday. Monday comes out.
It's Monday. I'm not saying what I'm doing. I'm just saying that I literally was watching TV and I was like, that's going to be my next individual pick. So
there we go. Do you want to end it here and then do record us revealing the stuff so we can get that going?
Yeah.
But I don't know what movie I would pick.
I don't have one picked yet.
Oh, okay.
Me either.
That's fine. We still end it here, and then that means the next time we get together, it'll be really short. Just a really short. Here are our movies. It shouldn't.
Yeah.
Take us long.
End this episode. This is the end of season 2 of Nerd School, then, right? Or will the next? Will those 4 movies be at the end of it?
Season 2.
Yeah.
You also should have a quiz coming up. That's the order.
Oh, that's the other
thing. There's a Phase 2 quiz for Joe.
There's a Phase 2 quiz. We're gonna do the quiz episode. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There'll be a Phase. See, I remember our patterns. There'll be a Phase 2 quiz. That's when we reveal our movie choices.
Right.
And then we do an episode of all our movies. You're welcome. You can pay me.
Yep.
So next up, pop quiz for Joe.
Yes. You guys get your quiz.
Let's go around the horn. What did you think of Ant-Man? What did you think? You love Ant-Man?
I liked it. It was a lot of fun.
I loved Ant-Man.
Yeah. It's pretty fun.
It's fun.
I don't know if I've ever seen Paul Rudd in anything where I was like, boo. So
yeah, he's so fun. He's just a fun guy. Oh, and that's
he's like one of those kind of guys you just want to hang out with.
Yeah. There's another. If you guys,
Paul Rudd is our Joe.
If you if you get a chance to look at the extras on that on Disney Plus, just check them out. There's one. It's just called a gag reel. It's not really much of a gag reel. It's more like just Paul Rudd doing funny shit. Like it's like there's a whole deleted scene where I love my favorite deleted scene of all. You got to watch this. Is there's a scene where Paul Rudd as Ant-Man goes into the casino, and Dave and Luis and I forget the other guy's name.
Playing craps.
Kurt. They're playing craps, and he's like making the dice, make sure they win, you know. And they come walking in the door with all their money, and they all start dancing. They're all doing different dances, and then Paul Rudd gets up and starts dancing, and it's just a funny, hilarious thing. And then there's a whole montage of Paul Rudd just throughout the movie. You can tell he's just like starts swing dancing and being silly. And you can just tell everybody likes him, you know, like he's just a likable fella that's happy. And yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's a little guy too.
Mm-hmm.
He's only 4'1". No, I just made that up.
And you guys are aware, I don't know, I just like this about Paul Rudd. It's like every time he ever went on the Conan O'Brien show, he'd always build up a clip like, oh, here's a clip of my new project. And it'd be always play. He would always play the same clip from this shitty
Mac
ET
and Me
ripoff called Mac and Me,
Mm-hmm.
where a kid in a wheelchair goes careening down a hill and flies off a cliff into the water, and then a dumb alien shows up and does that. And he just recently did that on his podcast. And it actually surprised Conan O'Brien again because, no, what? You can't do this. It's an audio, it's not visual. You can't play this clip. He's like, I thought it was worth the effort.
That's funny.
It's the same dumb thing, and he caught him off guard every time, and it was great.
I love it.
Like like in the podcast, he invented an entire project that he's not even working on. He just went into great detail, improvised the whole thing about what his project was, and then it was.
Was that on Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend?
I think it was. Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna have to listen to that. I'm behind on that one. Anyway, because I'm behind on that one because Dana Carvey and David Spade's new podcast came out called
I think I listened to like one episode.
Fly on the Wall, and it's all about SNL days, and they have old SNL people talk about their time at SNL.
Shit.
It's
Kevin from The Office has a really good podcast too.
Does he?
Yeah.
I believe that.
Everybody has a podcast now.
Mm-hmm. Everybody.
Including the Nerd School. But this is the last podcast of this season of the season 2.
No, not the final. We still have your
2.
Quiz. That round.
Yeah, we got our quiz. But this is the final movie.
Final exam.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Phase 2 final exam.
Yep. So thanks for listening, Nerd Hive. Take your shirts off and next time you listen.
Truffle shuffle.
Don't listen to anything these dudes
So
say.
phase 2 starts with Iron Man 3.
The Goonies.
If you're comfortable taking your shirt off, take your shirt off. How about that? Is
there
that
you
better?
go.
Yeah.
So like the what you got to
pressure.
study is Iron Man 3, Thor: The Dark World, Captain America: Winter Soldier, Avengers: Age of Ultron, and Ant-Man. Is that right? Am I missing one?
No, I think that's it.
Sounds right to me.
All right, so Joe, get your studying on, and I'm putting this out here now. Andy and Art, y'all gotta help me through this damn quiz like you did last time.
Hey! Can I say something?
Can I say this?
I need to recuse myself from asking Joe any questions because pillow talk.
Spousal privilege.
I'm thinking next season we need another student. There needs to be 2 students so we can help each other cheat.
No. But yeah.
Let me know if you find an aspiring nerd that wants to be on. What's that? But 5 people might be hard to get conversations.
Listen,
as hard as it is.
The way we have to wrangle schedules for the 4 of us.
Yeah, that's hard as it is.
That works if we have if one of us goes on a long hiatus somewhere, you can always bring in the extra person as a
yeah, I guess
a special guest host.
Anyway, that's the end of this episode. Thank you, nerds. Rate,
Later,
review,
nerds.
subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. Tell a stranger on the street. Scream it in their car. If you're crossing a street, stop, knock on the window of the car waiting at the stop and be like, hey, listen to the Nerd School podcast. It's school with a K, like play school. Listen to it, idiot.
Tell everybody.
And then take a dump in their car.
Don't do that part. They're not going to be your friends after that.
Okay, don't do that part. So, yeah, I tell them to do a bunch more, so they'll maybe just do the first thing.
And also, don't say it's like play school because then we get sued.
We will? You think they own spelling school with a K?
Well, I had to. Surprised if they have a trademark.
I had to because Nerd School SCHOOL was already taken.
By who?
Some other dumb thing that's crappy. Probably.
Are we gonna start a war with the correct spelling nerd school people?
Yeah. I don't think it's a podcast. I think it's like a
war.
I don't know what it is. It probably doesn't even
We're gonna
exist
take him
anymore.
now. We're gonna take him now. We're gonna take them down.
Okay.
He says in all his voices.
Nerd Hive out.
Peace out. A-Town down.
Oh, and also TPJ says Excelsior.
Hey, look at that.
About the president no more, but evidently they don't see we in the streets still poor. Still more incarceration of my kinsmen by the prisons, and people thinking this election to end in racism. Proud over pessimism, glad to see Obama, but don't expect me not to speak out when I still see problems.
The Nerd School Podcast.
QueenCityPodcastNetwork.com.
Listen, people can make fun of me for my holiday movies all we want to, but I'm like, are you alive? Did I fuss at you today? Did I yell about anything? All right, then. You're welcome. You better thank Hallmark for keeping me safe.